Hello, everybody, and welcome to the JEFF Ed today. I am Coach Dom, or Dominique, so I'm just going to give you a chance just to slide in, let me know you're here. This is an exciting topic for me. Absolutely love working with women and especially postpartum women. So yeah, swipe in, let me know you're here, say hello. I'm just going to give it probably about another minute just so that everybody who's busy swiping in can just join us and just say hello quickly. All right, so I am so excited to be discussing such an important topic that I feel women ask about and wonder on a daily basis. And yeah, it's just so important to know when is the right time to exercise and to get back to running after you've had your baby. It can be a very intimidating idea, especially straight after your baby or just the stress related to starting over. So I'm here today just to put your minds at ease and to help guide you through your postpartum journey. And yeah, it's totally okay to feel anxious or scared or even just a little bit excited. So if you've got questions, please pop them in the comments. And then when we finish with the talk, I'm more than happy to answer them and just help you. So stop being so hard on yourself. And yeah, let's get started. So I'm just going to pop a slide up for us. It's just a bit easier for me to explain things and to get through it. So I'm just quickly going to get my laptop ready over here. There we go. All right, so it's important to know what pelvic or abdominal issues you may struggle with after you've had your baby. I've highlighted the 4 most common conditions that you may have experienced already. So firstly, we have musculoskeletal pain. This is just a general term referring to pain in your muscles, your bones, your joints, tendons, and nerves. So you can actually blame your pregnancy hormones for this one, especially the hormone relaxin. So that hormone is just there to prepare your body for birthing. So it just affects the connective tissue. It gives a bit of lengthening and a bit of strength. A bit of lengthening, but this can be present for up to 6 months after your birth. Secondly, we have urinary incontinence. So this is just involuntary leaking of urine, especially after a cough or a sneeze. Thirdly, we have abdominal separation. This is also known as diastasis recti. This is due to your uterus growing to support your baby's growth, and the 2 long parallel abdominal muscles in the middle start separating a little bit. You can actually feel, or you can take a finger and feel a gap between the 2 muscles. And then lastly, we have pelvic organ prolapse. So this is basically referring to the organs that sit in your pelvis, and this can be your bladder, your rectum, your uterus, or your small bowel. And these can descend a little bit into the vaginal canal or collapse a little bit. But I really don't want to scare you today. This is more to make you aware of these conditions so that you are able to seek help and that you know that there's help available if you do experience these symptoms. Just going to click on the next one. So you're probably wondering what symptoms to look out for or just wanting to know when to seek help. So any of the following symptoms should be discussed with your gynecologist, especially at your 6-week follow-up. Anything ranging from leaking, heaviness or pressure, pain with intercourse. This would only be picked up anyway 6 weeks postpartum, if even, or whenever you decide to be intimate with your partner again. If you're struggling to pass a stool, or if you are noticing a separation or a coning, especially when you're moving from lying to sitting, this will be at your stomach. And then just any general pain at the lowest part of your back or your pelvis. These are signs that you should not ignore, and then you should definitely speak to your physio or your doctor about. I want to also make you aware of some considerations when thinking about exercising again. So I'm just going to start with breastfeeding. It is a complete myth that exercise or intense training diminishes milk production. Just a tip, rather, before you start working out or training, is rather to express or feed your baby, just so it's a bit more comfortable for you. Next, I've got weight. So if you have a BMI above 30, it is mentioned that it can put quite a bit of pressure on your pelvic floor. So we'll definitely want to limit high impact or jumping activities. So start off with mat work or any activities that are a lot less intense. If I'm looking at cleared by your gynae, very, very important. Not everyone's pregnancy journey or birthing journey is the same. So it's best to follow your doctor's recommendations first. So clear that there's no issues or nothing to be concerned about. When looking at psychological state, up to 20% of women will experience postnatal depression or symptoms of postnatal depression. So that's your baby blues that you might feel. So it's just important that in conjunction with return to exercise, also to add some coping strategies. So this would be anything from meditation or breathing exercises, but it's so important to be aware of these symptoms. Then I'll be looking at a realistic goal. So don't put that pressure on yourself to do too much too soon. Rather start off with setting yourself a short-term goal, a smaller goal, and then building up from there. The type of delivery is also very important to consider. So ladies who have had a C-section, this is essentially abdominal surgery. So for the first 6 weeks, you're going to be taking it a lot lighter than the ladies who have had a vaginal birth. Especially there might be some inflammation or the scar might be quite painful, so some activities might not be possible. And then breathing. If you think about in the last 9 months with your baby growing, with the uterus growing, it has pushed up your diaphragm. So you might notice that before or early on in your pregnancy, you could do 1 flight of stairs without needing to catch your breath. But towards your last trimester, you are, after 1 flight, catching your breath and having to take a moment just to breathe. So we want to also train that there's a better synergy between your diaphragm and your abdominal muscles, that you're not just breathing with your shoulders, so more a deep breath. Supportive clothing. So this is also very important, especially for our breastfeeding mothers. Instead of using a compressive sports bra, we would rather say use a supportive sports bra. We don't really want any compression. It will also inhibit your breathing a little bit. And then especially when it comes to foot size. So because of the pregnancy hormones and the changes in your body, some women might actually notice an increase in foot size. So just check it with your running shoes that they still fit and that you're not trying to squeeze your foot into the shoe. All right, so this is probably the biggest question that I get. Oh, let me just go back one. So when can you start exercising? So in the first 3 months after you've had your baby, that is 0 to 3 months, as a guideline, we say you just start with low impact activities. So that's very gentle, taking it very easy, no running then. And then if you are considering returning to running, we would only consider it between 3 to 6 months at the earliest. And remember, this isn't taking into account any complications you might have had. So that is something to be very, very aware of. If your journey was a little bit more complicated, first go to your doctor and see if he's happy for you, or he or she is happy for you to start again. So simply said, as a guideline, we would like to aim for about 150 minutes of light to moderate activity each week. So if you weren't active before your pregnancy or during your pregnancy, you're going to start gradually. And if you were active before, you're going to restart gradually. So there's no rushing, there's no rush to get back into it as soon as possible. And then it is very safe to be active while breastfeeding. There is no cause of worry for you to stress about maybe your milk production. There's no influence there. And then you'll start with pelvic floor exercises as well as breathing exercises as soon as possible. You can start that immediately after birth. If you do have maybe a coccyx injury, or again, if there's other complications, first check with your doctor instead of just going straight into it. And then try aim for some light resistance activities at least twice a week. So just to challenge yourself just a little bit. This is a guideline I've put together, basically ranging from 0 months, so straight after you've had your baby, up to 6 months of what you can maybe start with. So in your 0 to 3 months category after you've had your baby, you can start with your pelvic floor exercises, your deep breathing exercises, some meditation and gentle walking. So a nice flat route up to 30 minutes, or see what you can manage. 3 months postpartum, you can start with your low impact activities, so such as walking, swimming, gentle yoga, gentle Pilates. You can even start on a stationary bike just with a low resistance. And then we can also start with a little bit of weight training. So nice light dumbbells or a TheraBand band is a perfect way just to get you started. And then in the category from 3 months to 6 months, we recommend low, medium to high impact depending on your ability. So again, you can start upping your walking to maybe 45 minutes, swimming, Pilates. You can start with cycling off of a stationary bike, but I wouldn't recommend anything too hectic. And then a graded return to running. So I'm going to explain that in the next one. So how do you start? So first of all, we're going to get the pelvic floor issues out the way. So if you have any of the symptoms I mentioned right in the beginning, we're first going to address that before we're going to have you running straight away. So be very aware if you're feeling any leaking, any pain, go to your doctor first, or your physio, a physio that is specialized in women's health. You're going to start small. So you're going to set short-term goals such as a target distance. Very important, this principle, I cannot stress it enough. It is our run progression training. So we're rather going to focus on volume before intensity. So I'm not going to have you going at a 90% effort for a 2K. I'd rather have you going at a 60% effort for a 4K, if that makes sense. So let's first get our training volume up before we get our intensity up. Then cross-training is absolutely essential. So I'm not going to have you running 5 days a week. We're going to start a maximum of 3 days a week with walking breaks. But I'm going to get into that a little bit later. So 3 runs maximum a week. So this is the guideline example that I've set out. Your effort is going to be easy. So 60%, we're going to focus on volume before intensity, 90 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Start with your first run in 20 minutes, flat route, no hills, no heel repeats, no intervals, please. And then build up to 30 minutes. And then, as I mentioned before, a maximum of 3 runs per week, not exceeding 30 minutes. So this will be for the first 4 weeks or the first month if you are in your 3 to 6 month category. So listen to your body. If you are feeling pain, obviously there's a reason. Take it down a notch. Don't push yourself. Then the next important thing, lots of moms or runners before they fell pregnant love the idea of taking the baby for a run with them, which is absolutely incredible. I think it's definitely worthwhile, but it's so important if you are aware at what age your baby can join you for the run. So first of all, your buggy is important. So when you take your baby for your run, you should have a buggy that is designed for running. You can't take any normal pram or your normal walking pram. It must be a buggy. So I've also put some things to look out for. So it will have a 5-point harness, a fixed front wheel, hand-operated brakes. Very important that if you are running, you can then quickly grab the brakes. Rear wheel suspension. So this is very important so your baby doesn't bounce around too much. And then the 3 wheels, definitely not a 4-wheel, 3 wheels with a wrist strap. Your baby shouldn't be younger than 7 months. To be conservative, I would say at least your baby should be 8 to 9 months. This is just so that you can support their head. If they are any younger, they have 0 head control and your baby is going to be bouncing around and having concussions. So you don't want that at all. So be very, very careful. It's dependent on your baby's health. So yes, I have given you a month or a guideline, but it's also dependent on your baby and if your baby had any other issues. So just check with your gynae before. And then when it comes to your nutritional side of things, I actually want to thank Siri for this one. It's often overlooked. So moms that are exclusively breastfeeding need to up their calorie intake. You burn quite a bit of calories when you are exclusively breastfeeding. So studies have shown that your milk supply should be abundant if you are taking in between 1,800 to 2,200 calories a day. You can burn between 300 to 500 calories extra just by breastfeeding. But obviously, it's also dependent if your baby is also subsidized by solids, then it won't be as much calories burnt. But if you are all ever confused or if you're not sure if you are doing it correctly, I would advise you go speak to a dietitian. They are extremely skilled in working out your calorie allowance and just helping you guide if you are nourishing yourself and if you are doing everything correctly. And then just a take-home message, exercise and light resistance training prior and during pregnancy is essential. So I'd like to encourage moms that I know there's a lot of pressure to get that pre-pregnancy body back, but if you are family planning or if you are relatively active before you fall pregnant, I'd really strongly encourage you to continue with activity. Obviously, as your trimesters go on, just to limit your activities and just check in with your doctor or your physio on specific exercises you should rather avoid. But there is a strong benefit if you are exercising before and during your pregnancy. And yeah, I just said always discuss with your doctor or physio if you are considering it. And then lastly, be kind to your body. In the last 9 months, you have undergone an incredible amount of changes. So I just want to take that pressure off that. Yeah, give yourself a little bit of a break, take it little chunk for little chunk, and just be kind to yourself and understand that you've got this new baby, new changes. Your body is still recovering up until a year after you've had your baby. You're still going to have a few effects of your pregnancy hormones. So just give yourself a little bit of a break. Okay, I'm just going to close then the slideshow and I'm going to welcome any questions. I'm just quickly going to have a look over here. So I see Margaret says she's trying to get rid of the baby belly 3 years later. So as I mentioned, be kind to yourself. I'd recommend definitely starting with small chunks and not overdoing it. I'm just having a look here. I see I've got a lot of hellos, so I'm very excited. Let's quickly see here. So Nicole said she was afraid to train for 3 years because she was told her milk supply would dry up. So this is something I have heard countless times. Training intensity does not impact milk production. If you are getting enough nutrients and enough calorie intake for the day, your milk supply should be abundant. But remember, that is also very dependent on straight after you've had your baby, how soon your milk supply came to take in. Some women just have a lower supply, but I wouldn't say that there's a correlation between your training and your milk supply. I just want to look over here after 6 years. Hey, Lisa, well done. After 6 years, she's managed to lose all her pregnancy weight, which is amazing. Remember, it's normal to pick up at least 12 kilograms is actually our minimum of what you'll pick up during a pregnancy. So again, don't be too hard on yourself. Thank you, everybody. I'm very excited. If there are any other questions, or if there are any new moms who would love to speak to me or have any questions, I am happy to answer them. You can reach out to me either on my coaching pages on Facebook or Instagram. I work with a lot of moms, and with my interest in women's health and being a women's health physiotherapist, it's a complete passion of mine. So if there's anything else, I see. So I hope I've actually answered your questions. The fact that I haven't had too many questions is a good sign. I hope that I've covered a lot of the pre-questions. Siri did send me a few, so I made sure to cover those. But if there's nothing else, you are welcome to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help.